Even if Excel is a tool you use every day, chances are you're not taking advantage of its best time-saving features. So in this video, I'm going to show you 7 easy-to-use, often overlooked tools hiding in plain sight that can drastically reduce the time that you spend on repetitive tasks. And you can grab the example file from the link in the video description and try these features out yourself. Imagine this. You've just received a spreadsheet from a colleague. It's full of intricate formulas and you're supposed to update it. But as soon as you click into a cell, you see this maze of references and immediately you're lost. You try clicking on different cells to understand how they're all related, and before you know it, 10 minutes have passed and you're none the wiser. Sound familiar? Let me show you the tricks I use every day to tackle files I'm not familiar with. I start by getting an overview of which cells contain formulas with the Show Formulas keyboard shortcut, Control backtick. Now we can easily see that the inputs appear to be contained in these cells here, and we have formulas in rows 14 through 23 and some in the loan summary table. So now that we have our bearings, we can revert back to hiding the formulas by pressing Control and backtick again. Next, we want to understand where the inputs come from, so select a cell that you want to inspect and press the F2 key to edit the cell. This highlights and color codes the cells being referenced by the formula, which is super handy if they're all visible on one screen, as they are here. Alternatively, we can leverage Excel's formula auditing tools on the Formulas tab. Here we've got Trace Precedence. Excel adds arrows pointing out the cells this formula references. If the cells are out of sight or on other sheets or other workbooks, you can double-click on these blue lines to jump to the cell and get a closer look. You can double-click to go back, and then inspect another one, and so on. And when you're done, click Remove Arrows. Similarly, you can also trace cells that rely on this one with Trace Dependence. And here we can see that there are formulas down below that we didn't initially see that are being hidden by formatting that we wouldn't have known without tracing dependence. Let's turn that off because there's another way that we can identify cells that contain formulas, and that's with the Go To Special tool. The keyboard shortcut is Control G. And then here we want Special and select Formulas. We can choose to find formulas that return numbers, text, logicals, that is true or false values, errors, or all of them. Let's go with all. I'll click OK. And depending on how many formulas you have, it might take a moment. You can see it's now selected all the cells that contain formulas. And from here, I could go to the Home tab and select a fill color for those cells, just to keep track of them more easily while I familiarize myself. And with these tricks, you'll have a handle on the workings of the file in no time. Although we aim to avoid data entry as much as possible, sometimes it's just unavoidable. So here are a couple of settings that can make it way more efficient. Let's say you're in the middle of entering numbers across a row, and every time you enter a value and press Enter, your cursor moves to the next cell down. But that's not always where you want to go. Of course, you could press Tab to move to the right. But then you'd have to take your hand off the printout that you're getting the data from, and you can easily lose your place. Another option is to press the right arrow key, so enter the number, right arrow, and so on and so forth. But that means moving your hand to the left of the numeric keypad, not by much, but sometimes it's enough to break your flow, and over many entries, all those little adjustments turn what should be a simple task into a chore. Another little known option is to go to the File tab, and then down at the bottom, Options. Under Advanced, we can change the direction that the active cell moves after pressing Enter. You can see it's currently set to down, but we could choose right, up, or left. Or we could deselect this to have it not move at all. Now I want to move to the right, so let's select that and click OK. And now when I enter a value and press Enter, it moves to the right for me. And if you're entering a lot of numbers with decimal points, Excel has an even better trick. You can go back into the File tab, Options, and again under Advanced, here we can automatically insert a decimal point. You can specify the number of places. Now all my data is to 1 decimal point, so let's go with that and click OK. And now all I need to do is enter the 3 numbers and press Enter to enter all my data. So I'm saving keystroke for every number and it's automatically moving to the right. And once I'm done with that, I can go back into the File tab, down at the bottom, Options, Advanced. I can deselect automatically inserting the decimal point and change the direction back to down and click OK. And now we're back to the defaults. Now you might think these settings are just minor conveniences, but the time saved can really add up. You've put together this report for your manager and they're happy with it, but they're particular about formatting and they've asked you to make some changes to these observation group headings. Now you could change one. For example, they've told me that they want green fill here, they don't want italics, and they'd like an underline. And then I can double click the Format Painter and apply that to each one by one. But there's a lot of them. So let's undo all those changes because there's a quicker way. All you need to do is Control H to open the Find and Replace dialog box. And over here under the Format drop-down, I'm going to choose Format From Cell. The cell I'm choosing it from is this one. So you can see it's picked up the font and the fill color. And then under the Replace With Format drop-down, I'm going to go into Format. This opens the Format dialog box. So here I can choose my fill color, and under Font I want regular, and for the border, let's choose this line and we'll apply it to the bottom. Click OK, and now all I need to do is press Replace All, and it does it in one go. If we scroll down, you can see they're all done. Easy. Navigating Excel's ribbon to find commands eats up a huge amount of our time. Imagine having a custom ribbon tab with all your frequently used icons in one place, eliminating the need to switch between tabs. Simply right-click on the ribbon and then customize the ribbon. This opens the Excel options with the Customize Ribbon dialog box, and on the right-hand side you see a list of all the main tabs, and at the bottom we can add a new tab. It adds a new tab and a new group. Let's right-click and rename the tab. I'll call this Favorites. And then I can add commands from the list on the left. Clicking on the drop-down here, I can filter this list to make it easier to find what I want. For example, let's look at all the main tabs first of all, and I'll start by grabbing some command groups from the Home tab that I want. For example, I want Font, Alignment, Number, and then if you want individual commands, you can add your own custom group. It automatically puts one in by default. So I can right-click and rename this. I'll call this Insert. And then I'm going to go to the Insert tab and grab the tools from there that I want. So under Tables, we've got Pivot Table. So with Insert selected, I'm going to add Pivot Table. And then under Illustrations, I'm going to add Pictures, Shapes, and Icons. And under Controls, I want the checkbox. Okay, so within the tab, you can also rearrange the icons both within the group or the groups themselves. For example, let's move the Insert group down to the end. And I can also move the tabs within the ribbon. So let's move the Favorites in front of Home, so it's first on the list. And when you're done, click OK. And now if we look at the ribbon, we've got Favorites. And the File tab will always be to the left. It's always the first tab. You can't rearrange that one. And with my Custom Ribbon tab, all my frequently used commands are at my fingertips. I don't need to go hunting around on the various tabs of the ribbon to find what I need. If you found this information valuable, you'll be interested to know that my courses dive even deeper into Excel's capabilities. And right now there's a special opportunity until December 5th. With all my courses, 20% off. These courses cover everything from advanced formulas to advanced data analytics techniques, designed to significantly enhance your Excel proficiency. To explore the courses and take advantage of this limited time offer, visit the link mentioned at the top of the video description and pinned comment. Ever found yourself staring at a printed table or a screenshot, wishing you could somehow pull that data directly into Excel without manually typing it all in? Well, you can. Here I've got a screenshot of some data. I'll select it and Control-C to copy it to my clipboard. And then on the Data tab of the ribbon, I want From Picture. Now here I can get a picture from a file I already have saved or from my clipboard, which is what I want. This opens Data from Picture pane on the right-hand side, and it's inspecting the picture and loading the data. We can make the pane wider. At the top we've got the preview of our picture, and we can use the mouse scroll to zoom in and out to help validate the preview, which is what we see at the bottom. And as I scroll down, there are a couple of cells in red that Excel wants me to double check, so I can click on one, check that it's correct. It shows me in the preview that's right, and I can accept it and move on to the next one. It's interpreted that one correctly as well, so let's click Accept. And we're ready to insert the data. Now before I do, let me select the cell I want it to go to and then click Insert Data. tells me that I'm responsible for validating it. Let's go ahead. And just like that, I've got the data from the picture in the cells in the worksheet, and I can work with it just like any other data, adding formulas and the like. And I don't need my picture anymore, so let's delete that. If you work with large spreadsheets, the new Focus Cell feature, currently available with Microsoft 365 for Windows on the beta channel, automatically highlights the row and column of the selected cell, making it much quicker to reference data across rows and down columns. It's a feature we've been asking for years, so keep your eye out for it, because as it rolls out to Mac and Excel Online, the more you use it, the more it's likely to be developed. To activate it, you go to the View tab and then click on Focus Cell. You can also click on the drop down here and edit the color. And while the color palette appears quite limited, any custom colors you create using the cell or font color palettes will appear here in the recent colors. So you can choose a custom color that suits you best. Now to turn off Focus Cell, simply click the icon again. You'll also notice on the drop down we've got Show Auto Highlight. And this activates the Focus Cell automatically when you use the Find dialog box. For example, Control F to open the Find dialog box. Let's look for Paseo and click Find Next, and you can see it highlights it in the background automatically, making it super quick to locate. Now there are a couple of limitations. Currently Focus Cell doesn't work when you have freeze panes or split panes enabled. However, hopefully this will be resolved before it's generally available. When you're working with time-based data, like I have here, you need a quick way to show trends. And if we look at the data in a line chart, you can see that there's just far too many series to make sense of it. And while we can use the filter drop down here and select fewer series, you could be here all day toggling them on and off. It's just not practical. So instead, let's delete that chart, because sparklines are an elegant solution for this problem. Sparklines are mini charts that sit inside cells. So start by selecting the cells you want your sparklines in, and then on the Insert tab of the ribbon, in the sparkline group, we can choose from line, column, or win-loss. Win-loss isn't appropriate for this data, so let's go with column. And here I need to select the data range. So I'm selecting all the numeric values. It's already got the location range based on the cells I had selected. So I'll click OK. And just like that, we've got mini charts that show the trend of the data. And because they're inside cells, you can adjust the column width and they automatically adapt. Likewise for the row height. Now you'll notice on the Sparkline tab, we've got lots of settings. For example, we can identify the high point, low points, negative, first point, last point, and so on. We've also got various default styles we can choose from, or you can customize the Sparkline colors and the marker colors. I'll leave you to play with those. And if you want to be able to compare the data to one another, then you can customize how the axis is set. For example, you might want it the same for all Sparklines. Now the beauty of Sparklines is in their simplicity. They add visual context to your data without the clutter of full-size charts, enabling you to quickly interpret the data. And you can easily toggle between the different Sparkline types to get a feel for the one that suits your data the best. Unfortunately, Sparklines can only display the trend for one series, but sometimes you might want to compare a value to a target, like actual cost versus budget, etc. And this is where my mini chart technique shines. So check out this video next on inserting mini charts into cells so you aren't restricted by the limitations of Sparklines. I'll see you there.